Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining me. And it is Tuesday, not Wednesday. So you know what that means. It is a holiday week. So Spirit wanted to push the recording a bit earlier on a different day, which already feels a little wonky to me. I don't know about you guys, but I guess that's pretty consistent with the holiday American Thanksgiving energy generally, isn't it? But anyway, this is Spirit Wisdom Wednesday on a Tuesday. So if you are new here, I'd love to welcome you with an open heart. My name is Meredith, and this is my heart-centered business called the Healing Hummingbird. And what I love to do here is help healers and spiritual go-getters reclaim their power to heal themselves and then walk down the path on their life purpose, all in the way of the hummingbird, which includes lots of joy and lightness of being with a big, brave heart. So if you are new here, please do let me know in the comments. I will be addressing them live as I can. And if you saw my post earlier on Instagram or Facebook, you will know that Spirit wants to talk about family. I know that's a hot topic, but I think they have a little bit of a different take than the things that I've heard generally. So you might hear things about how to protect yourself if you're energy sensitive, or how to deal with someone who says something uncomfortable at the dinner table. And that's not really what we're going to talk about here. We're going to talk about family in the way of ancestors and the things that we inherit and the roles that we can play in the middle of them. So I hope that makes sense. As we go through, I'm going to go over a couple of the notes they gave me ahead of time, and also, as usual, channel live messages because they are always here and have a lot to say. So the first point they wanted to make is that family patterns may come up at this time. That's a really common theme, but they don't come up to be relived and perpetuated. They actually come up to be healed with healing awareness. And the way that we can do that is, let's say that you've been having the same argument with your parent for most of your life, or a sibling or something like that. Let's say that before you even see the sibling, you're already thinking about what you are going to say this time. And, that's super normal. That's just part of having, the ego construct as part of our personality. You're trying to protect yourself, which, that means you love yourself, which is a beautiful sentiment. But at the same time, we can say, hey, ego, I understand that you're trying to protect me, and I love you, and I thank you for that. But instead of reliving the pattern, giving it more shadow energy, let's actually just hold some awareness on the situation and understand that this is an opportunity to break a cycle and to heal the pattern. And I actually wrote this down as one of the last things to talk about, but they're pointing to it right now, and they're saying if you feel like an outlier in your family, it might be because you are meant to break a lot of these patterns. And I can definitely relate to feeling that way. And that's how I have read that situation. And I can confirm that is the most healing, high vibrational way for me personally to read the situation. Otherwise, it just feels lonely and like you've been rejected, right? Which is unfortunately what a lot of people might come up against in the holiday seasons, but people are mostly focused on food and finance. Let's be real here. How many presents can I buy? How many mouths can I feed? So with all of that commercial and material stress, people tend to flip into shadow aspects, It's kind of understandable when you think of it from that lens. The best advice that Spirit has for the entire experience of American Thanksgiving, or any holiday generally where you're going to be around family members where you might be feeling triggered, is to try to stay present, try to stay grounded. For some reason, this might help somebody here. Smoky quartz is one of the most grounding stones that I have ever interacted with and touched. And I am usually drawn to things that are this color aesthetically, but I just knew that I needed to try this one. And yeah, if you just carry a little piece of this on you, or like black tourmaline or obsidian, something black and white, having both with you can be nice, have a nice balance of yin and yang. But yeah, to just try to stay grounded in all of that energy And so they're bringing up an energetic exercise that if you feel like you've been around someone, you did a great job of holding your barriers, there was no confrontation, you were able to enjoy your meal peacefully, and you're going home, you might continue to think about the person in a way that's kind of unusual. So sometimes that can mean that they are thinking about you too, and that those shadow elements are trying to reattach, you know what I mean? The ego loves to argue, and the ego loves to feel like they are correct. So you might feel like some of that is following you home. And a really quick thing that you can do is just go, oh no thank you, return to sender. And you can just visualize these little particles that have collected in your aura from this other person, just collecting them, putting them in a little envelope and sealing it, and then just mailing it back. Just anonymously, just dissipating that energy like, no thanks, that's not mine, I don't want to take that on, and become heavier. Also, another good way to stay present is to root in gratitude. Of course, that's a huge through line of Thanksgiving, is gratitude, being grateful for the people who could make it to the table, being grateful to have a table and have food to put on the table. Because another thing that can come up is loved ones in spirit, is who didn't make it to the table this year. And I just feel like the best thing I can say about this, or that spirit can say through me, is that you are definitely, absolutely not alone. And I think it's something that most people are experiencing at this particular time for some reason. Whether you've lost someone in the past year or their memory is just coming up a lot lately, I feel like honoring loved ones in spirit is huge right now. It feels like a huge release and something that we can really do to help ourselves heal and help generations heal, which is a really beautiful thing. So something small, even because, you know, we've talked about how the brain needs ceremony to understand that we're processing something. And you know that I love fire ceremonies, specifically as a shaman. So what you can do to honor your loved one in spirit is just get a little tea light, and maybe in front of a framed picture of them. This would be a very traditional way to do it. Place the light there and light the candle and say a couple words to them, or say nothing at all. You know, just acknowledging them and doing something to honor their presence is truly healing and transformative for the person doing it. But also your loved one in spirit knows that you're doing that too, and really appreciates it and amplifies the energy of love and gratitude. Now, a couple self-care things that I'll end with are to make time for yourself. You know, that seems pretty obvious, but it could be as simple as driving separately to an event. So maybe you typically like carpool with a lot of people. Try to go by yourself. Even just that little time that you have alone in the car is enough to just kind of take a couple deep breaths and let that energy roll off of you and reground in yourself, so that you're not carrying around other people's shit, because we don't need to do that. And another thing that Spirit wanted to encourage us to do is to truly feel free and empowered to express yourself in a way that is very vulnerable and very honest. And you might be around people who do not make you feel safe to do that, and that's totally fine. So this could translate into journaling later on. It could translate to singing in the car or listening to really loud music. It could translate into painting later or playing music, you know? Just something to really express yourself, but it's really important that it comes from the heart space, they're saying, and has this kind of vulnerable, raw edge to it. There's something really healing about being able to purge that and express that, especially after being in situations that feel rehearsed and like you have to walk on eggshells and say and do the right things. And another thing they're talking about here, just improvising, which of course, if you're familiar with me, you know my spirit guides love to do that, is to let go of the way things look. There's an element of American Thanksgiving that has to do with presentation in a few different ways. So it's like the way that the Thanksgiving tradition is taught to American kids, you know, there's a certain perspective that comes from that is very exclusionary. So Spirit is saying, not everything is as it seems. Dressing up a table with a lot of food doesn't mean that everything's perfect, right? And that there's no shadow in the memories, that there aren't people left behind, and that the shadow is coming up to be healed again, not to be perpetuated, but it's okay to really acknowledge a shadow element of either like American society, if we really want to get, you know, big and philosophical about it, which, you know, I love doing that, but also in your family. There could be things that come up to you that other people may not give you permission to talk about. And what you can do in that case, if you feel like this is really being drawn to your attention and you're like, listen, I've got to do something about this. I feel terrible about it and it's really uncomfortable. What you can do is have a meeting with your spirit guides and say, I really want to work this out. Could you help me meet with this other person's higher self to have a conversation? I know that sounds a little out there, but they totally will do that. They will facilitate a conversation between you and that other person. If meditation is kind of tricky, especially this time of year, maybe you're preparing a meal or responsible for hosting a bunch of people, you can ask your spirit guides to do this right before you go to sleep. And you can meet this person on the astral plane and kind of work out and heal some of those deep-seated energies that are coming up to you as a healer, as a sensitive person that need to be released. And just know that Spirit is very excited that you're even considering doing that. That's huge, because that means people before you perhaps have not considered doing that. So any type of change and transformation that Spirit can help you facilitate, they want to help you do that. And they're just showing me an image of you and your beautiful soul and them surrounding you and kind of like putting on this armor, but it looks like it's made of light. So that's something else that you can do if you feel like there's a lot of energy coming your way, is either an aura bubble exercise to just kind of hold those boundaries, or put on, you know, like a shield and like an outfit made of light that kind of serves as armor. But it's another way to just cloak yourself in love and light so that if something does come your way, it's not going to be reflected back as negative energy. It will be reflected back as light and love. So I know that feels kind of sticky and kind of uncomfortable, but as we digest lots of food, sometimes Spirit is like striking while the iron is hot, is the way that they're saying it. And like, while we're digesting other stuff, let's digest things energetically as well. And they want to let you know that you are part of the solution. You're not part of perpetuating a negative pattern. And as long as you can just accept that idea, that's all they need to be invited into the situation and help your family heal. Woo, okay, so that was a lot about family. I hope that is resonating for you. I hope that was helpful in some way. Let me know if this is something that you're seeing play out in your personal life. I know that it's something that I've been seeing for a while already leading up to the holiday. So Lola, she says, I'm here, ready to hear all. Awesome. Thank you so much for showing up, especially on an off day. I know we have an unusual time. So let's go ahead and get ready for our week ahead readings. As usual, I will just ask you to take a moment to tap into your heart space. You can place your hands over your heart like I am here. And we'll just take a couple deep breaths in together. Just inhale in. And exhale out. One more time. Inhale in. And exhale out. Inviting our spirit guides to come near us now. We're just going to ask, which group holds our message for the week ahead? Remaining open and accepting how that message might come in. You might see 1, 2, or 3. You might hear, feel, or know which group you're in. You might even just get an emotion or a color even. Okay, so now that we've had that intuitive exercise piece of the process, I do have some options here, some physical options for you to choose from. So for the first group, we have this Caribbean calcite tower. Let's let you see the beautiful colors here. That's group number 1. For group number 2, there is this, I hope I'm saying this right, Abalone shell. It's a shell that holds my holy wood, my Palo Santo. It's that beautiful teal color with rainbows. Okay. And for group number 3, you have this beautiful pendulum. And I believe, I'm gonna have to check with my crystal girl, Ashley. I believe this is Pistachio calcite, but it's this beautiful pendulum. If you work with pendulums, I'm gonna let it move for you. Maybe that will help you make a decision. Okay, all right. So we should have our groups selected. Let's go ahead and move into your week ahead readings to kind of give you more of an idea of what to expect. It's kind of a big week in America. So let's go ahead and get started. For group number 1, if you chose the Caribbean calcite tower, let's go ahead and get started with your tarot. If you're familiar with me, I usually like to pull some tarot to get an idea of the situation that you're dealing with. And then we have some guidance cards. Today we are using, I believe this is called the Tarot of the Divine. And then for guidance, we are using the Angels and Ancestors Oracle deck, very appropriate for the times. So just giving a shuffle here to refresh the energy on the cards. For group number 1, Spirit, what do they need to know for their week ahead for the highest good of all? It feels like there's a step-by-step process that's important for group number 1. And making sure that no steps are skipped. That could just be your personality. Like if you have directions, you like to follow them. That's funny, I'm like that too. You may be looking at recipes and carefully, you might be one of the people who carefully reads the steps instead of just like dump, mix, bake, you know? Okay, let's see. We've got your tarot laid out here. So first we have the Knight of Coins. Trying to make sure you can see these. Knight of Coins, the 3 of Cups. And the 7 of Cups. Okay, with the 3 of Cups in the middle here, they are talking about getting together with people and celebrating. Usually this is talking about friends. So maybe you're having like a Friendsgiving or something like that. It could also talk about family. If that's the case, it looks like your family knows how to have a good time, will be in good spirits. They may even drink a bit, is what I'm seeing for the 3 of Cups. So lots of fun for the week ahead, kind of like a social vibe. So it's like, I wouldn't call that like a traditional American Thanksgiving. It would be more like a party. That's a Thanksgiving I want to go to. Okay, group number 1, I'm feeling a little jealous. In the past position here with the Knight of Coins, this could either be representing you, so you could have some earth energy in your chart, or we could be taking a look at slow and steady progress towards a goal. The Knight of Coins makes real, tangible progress, but he moves slower. So if you feel like you are moving through a step-by-step process, there could be some frustration with how slowly it's going. So maybe you'd like things to pick up in pace a little bit, which is funny because you're like, okay, I'd like to move a little faster. And then there's like a party, which is kind of like another break. So maybe you're having to put something on hold that you're feeling really serious about. This could be financial or have to do with work. But then over here in the 7 of Cups, they're talking about having a lot of options and maybe being confused or dazed by all of these options, just not knowing where to look. Let me get one clarifier card here for this Knight of Coins. it sort of feels like an outlying focus of the week. So I really want to know what that is, Spirit. What is group number 1 focusing on? Okay, we have the Hermit. Interesting. So this stag in the background could be significant for you, could be a spirit guide for you. It just feels like the antlers are really prominent imagery for you. So maybe even look that up, what that might mean for you of the stag. But the Hermit is all about the inner guide. So maybe you are making slow, steady progress on inner healing, on child work, inner child work, and connecting with the inner guide. So it seems like you're doing some spiritual work, which is really beautiful. And I can totally relate to feeling like this is taking a lot more time than I anticipated. It's like, because inner work is like never ending, honestly. So that's what we're looking at, making the slow, steady progress on. But Spirit wants to commend you for your dedication. The Knight of Coins is a dedicated character, someone very trustworthy, very grounded. So yeah, you might be having a little bit of trouble reconciling these two. You might have been on your own for so long, or you might be introverted just naturally. And this week you're going out and celebrating with other people. So it's like a total flip in energy, which I'm hearing refresh. I'm hearing like you might need that. Although it feels like you might be feeling like a little bit anxious about it ahead of time. Or, oh, I'm even hearing like, I don't know what to wear. So Spirit's letting you know that there is something in your closet that you already have that you look wonderful in, and that everything's going to be great. So if you are concerned about that, Spirit wants to let you know that it's going to be better than you're anticipating. With the Seven of Cups, I'm having a feeling that this is what we'll be getting the guidance about. This is usually like, there's so many options, I'm not sure which options are viable. So this could be like spiritual options. You could be thinking about having different types of treatments done. Like, do I do Reiki, or do I have a shamanic clearing, or do I have a house clearing, or do I get a reading, or what in the world am I supposed to do? Okay, so let's go ahead and get your guidance here. Of course, we're using the Angels and Ancestors deck. So for group number 1, Spirit, what advice do you have for the week ahead for the highest good? We know they're making slow, steady progress in their inner work, connecting with you through the energy of the stag. It looks like they have some options here. Could you give us some clarity about what that is? And what do they need to know? I feel like there's 3. I feel like there's 3 for you. It feels like whatever this decision is that's coming up, it feels like you have most of your mind made up, if that makes sense. It's like 2/3 of it you know, but there's still this like element of the unknown. Like, I'm not sure what I'm actually going to decide, if that makes sense. There's like one element that's still not quite solid. Oh my gosh, you have the Lady. Stop it. And the Fire Guardian. And the Sun. Oh my gosh. Wow. Congratulations, you have an amazing week coming up. I don't know if those cards could get any better, especially the Lady and the Sun. If you're familiar with tarot or any type of reading, you know that the Sun is always a yes. It's summertime, fertility, abundance, joy, happiness, and the Lady is all about like monetary gain. So if you were thinking of a spiritual endeavor and you weren't sure if it was going to make money or be worth the money, she is saying yes. So if you were concerned about like overspending or something, it looks like finances are going to be very strong for you. Very strong. And as far as the Fire Guardian goes, this is the advice that they are offering for this situation over here. Like, not sure what to choose, not sure what to do, and this person feels much more sure of what to do. Even notice they're pointing at the hands. So the hands, you know, when the palms are down, it's more of like it's more of like unfocused energy, but here he's focusing his energy. He's open to what spirit has to give to him, but he's also harnessing his own energy. So they're saying you will know how to discern what the right path is moving forward based on how you feel. And specifically what lights your fire is what they're saying. So what do you feel excited about? What do you feel really happy and joyful? What feels abundant, like there's so much potential? You feel like someone who's really a firecracker. Like when you get invested in something, it's like you just want to talk about it all the time. You really, really, really go for it. So I love that about you. I'm a Sagittarius, so I really jive with that energy. So exciting, big, beautiful week for group number 1. For this very special occasion, since we have a holiday, I got out this very special book. This has a takeaway phrase and an image usually that I like to leave my readers and viewers with. Maybe you read cards. So that's a funny slip. Usually that means something if something weird comes out. So I'm just going to close my eyes here and see where spirit wants to stop. For group number 1, for the week ahead, what is their key phrase? Cultivate. Okay, so this worm here is showing me, there's an animal, a spirit animal deck that I have, and there's a worm in that one too. And that one talks about feeling inexperienced compared to other people. So if this is really resonating with you, group number 1, about like the spiritual endeavor and not knowing what to do, you might be feeling like a novice, or like you have no idea what the hell you're reading, and like things are just not making sense to you. You have no idea what to do. And spirit's saying, you know, that's the point. We're like cultivating a new skill. We're cultivating a new way for you to heal. And you're not meant to know, you know, you're not an expert, and that's okay. Like, you don't have to be an expert at everything. So I have a feeling like you might be kind of hard on yourself when you're first starting things. You might be used to being really good at stuff, which is great. But usually when people start things for the very first time, you know, they don't know every detail. So just know that if you are feeling self-conscious, or I'm feeling like somebody's calling themselves stupid, and you have a female ancestor here that really loves you and is asking you to not do that. Even if you're not literally saying the words, oh my gosh, I'm so stupid, in my head, there's some kind of negative self-talk that's kind of communicating that anyway. And the female ancestor is really wanting to see you love yourself, to love on yourself. So that was kind of an unexpected visitor. It makes sense with Thanksgiving that, you know, ancestors are around and will pop in and make themselves known every once in a while. So those were your messages for those of you who chose group number 1 with the Caribbean calcite. I hope that resonated, and I will see you next time. Okay, so for those of you who chose group number 2 with the abalone shell, if I'm saying that totally wrong, I'm so sorry. With the shell, let's go ahead and get your messages for the week ahead. Okay. With group number 2, I feel like you have a good sense of humor. How interesting. Okay, so I'm automatically hearing that you have a good sense of humor because you've experienced a lot of adversity in your life. And so it's like a way that you cope, which is really beautiful. And so someone on your spirit team really wants to commemorate you for that. You're always seeking joy and embodying joy. I feel like you make people laugh as well. And like you have a really great smile. Whoa. Okay, one more card for group number 2. For the week ahead, Spirit, what do they need to know? Okay, here we go. So we have the 10 of Wands, the 6 of Swords, and the Ace of Wands. Lots of wands here. So you might be feeling very full of creative energy or creative drive, or you might be a fire sign, and your big 3, sun, moon, or rising. In the middle, we have the 6 of Swords, which is, it's kind of like, so there's a couple cards in the tarot about leaving. We have the 8 of Cups, which is one person who's leaving behind, 8 cups for emotional health. This is a little bit different. This is Swords, and this is almost like leaving something behind because you absolutely have to. You might have even felt unsafe in a certain situation, but this is about mental energy, Swords, so mental health. It feels like you are prioritizing your mental health and getting yourself, maybe even somebody else, out of a negative situation. So Spirit wants to let you know that you are definitely doing the right thing, because what you're headed towards is the Ace of Wands in the future position, which is a brand new start. So if you've been feeling depleted, exhausted lately because you've been bearing the 10 of Wands, this always means lighten your load. This means that you've been carrying around so much burden with the 10. Typically it depicts a man with a bunch of wands on his shoulders, and he's leaned over because he's been walking with them for so long. So also you might be suffering from a bit of back pain, I'm hearing. And one of my spirit guides always recommends Epsom salts. He's like, what? Epsom salts works for everybody. I did want to mention, if you don't have a bathtub, group number 2, and if you're like, well, hell yeah, my back hurts, what do I do? Dr. Teal's, I just started seeing this in the grocery store. They have like body wash that has the salt, the Epsom salt dissolved in it, so you'll still get that magnesium. Also, just a dose of magnesium might help you as well. But yeah, so we're moving from the 10 of Wands through all this burden. It feels like the end of a cycle with the number 10. You're leaving behind a situation to prioritize your mental health, potentially even protecting somebody else or a younger generation as well. If not literally, like if it's not literally you taking your kids and leaving, you could be paving the way and giving other people around you permission to do the same thing. There's a reader that I love on YouTube. Her name is Chloe Taylor, and she always says, remember, when you stand up in your authenticity, it gives everyone around you permission to do the same thing. And so I feel like Spirit wanted me to be kind of an echo chamber of that for you. I feel like you really know that. I feel like you're a very self-assured person. Like when you make a decision, it's because you've thought about it, and it's absolutely the right thing. So you would not do this lightly. I know that you've really thought this through, and I know that the 6 of Swords is never an easy transition. So Spirit really wants to let you know that they are there for you. Even though there might be a lot of emotional turbulence, you're still doing the right thing, and you're on your way to the brand new start. So love to see a 10 turning into an ace. That's amazing. That means you're completing the cycle. Particularly in this next week, it feels like you're really going to feel the weight of that burden fall off of your shoulders, which is amazing. I love that for you. Let's go ahead and get some guidance for you. You also might want to take a look at clearing your space. You could be moving, group number 2. You could be moving out from a place that was not good for you, not great for your mental health, or you could be traveling to see people, but it almost feels like you're hesitant to do so, or maybe a little bit scared. So Spirit wants to let you know, if you are traveling to see people and you're like, oh man, the last time I saw these people, it didn't go well. Spirit wants to let you know that they are near you and would love it if you invited them into the situation. And just know that you are loved and very protected, group number 2. Okay, for your guidance, shut up. What did I just tell you? I told you might be traveling, and you got the Traveler. Stop it. Okay, what a great confirmation from Spirit. Yeah, that's exactly what that means. I actually don't see her very often. Let me look at her a little bit more. move in a new direction. You're already doing that. You're already leaving. And so that's just another confirmation. And look, you even have a compass out here. I feel like if you're in group number 2, you might be the people who are asking, am I doing the right thing? Is my life going in the right direction? Is it really worth it? Is it really worth all this uprooting everything and maybe even having a lot of emotional turbulence that you have to deal with? Yes, it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. You also have Father Sky here, which is amazing. So he can sometimes mean father energy generally. If you have a father who has crossed over into spirit, he would love to step forward and say hello to you, and that he is honoring you. So just know if that's not something that you were able to communicate on the earthly plane, that he would like to step forward and heal some element of the relationship now. If your father is still on the earthly plane, there may be an opportunity to connect with him over the next week and to heal some of those family patterns that we were talking about. This card also says trust in the unknown, which I can definitely see here as you're making this transition. You know, it doesn't show on the card exactly the direction that they're headed in over here. Just know that it's much, much better and much calmer waters than what you're coming from. You also have Wise One. So you might be interacting with a lot of elders this week, I'm seeing, or the energy of the elders is definitely around you. If not in physical people, in spirit for sure. Okay, so it says grow within your current situation. Okay, so what they're saying is embrace the car ride, embrace the train ride, embrace the plane ride. I feel like you're really traveling this week, or even moving house this week, group number 2. And I know that can be super stressful and it can really, really suck and take time. But there's some kind of opportunity for spirit to be involved and kind of weave themselves into that experience to make it better and even maybe magical for you. So just be on the lookout for that. Like if you're if you're flying on an airplane and maybe you don't love to do that, you might meet somebody or cross paths with somebody that becomes instrumental in your development, group number 2, or moving on into your new direction. Also, you have a lot of bird energy here as well, so be on the lookout for feathers or bird messengers specifically. Let's go ahead and get your takeaway phrase for group number 2 for the week ahead. What do they need to know for the highest good of all? Make connections. Wow, okay. Interesting. So this could mean you are reconnecting with people who you have been out of contact for a while with now, which would make sense with the holiday. Or this could mean something totally different. So I'm picking up on a situation that someone is removing themselves from a group of people. So it could be like a family or a friend group, and you might find yourself identifying with the glue. So you might be the person who usually hosts dinners or calls everybody and make sure that everybody is going to arrive at the same time. So you might have been playing this role, being the nuts and bolts of the situation, and you might be concerned to leave. You might be concerned to leave. What's going to happen to the unit once I leave? What's going to happen? Is everything going to fall apart? And I think that's where Father Sky is coming in and saying, trust in the unknown. It's okay to not take responsibility for the whole family or for everyone else's happiness. You seem really, really giving, group number 2, very concerned about people's well-being around you. And Spirit is asking you to be concerned about your own well-being this week. Okay, so I know that you're going through a lot. I'd love to hear more about it in the comments if you are comfortable doing so. A lot of swords energy is coming through, so you might also be an air sign in your big 3. But yeah, I hope that resonates, and I hope that you're traveling safely, group number 2. with the shell. Again, and even maybe even Palo Santo might help out in your situation. I know that always helps me kind of remove excess energy, especially like on the underside of my arms. I know that sounds really weird, but for you, especially group number 2, I just feel like you're energy sensitive. So if you are cleansing yourself or cleansing your house, one of my spirit guides is saying, don't forget the bottoms of your feet. Don't forget under your arms, okay? All right, so those were your messages. Thank you for watching. Happy Thanksgiving, and I will see you next time. All right, so for our last but not least group number 3 with the pendulum, I believe this is Pistachio calcite. Let's go ahead and get your messages for the week ahead. For group number 3, I'm already getting something about imposter syndrome. So people might view you as an expert or authority on something, but you might be sitting behind your desk going, I don't know, which I could definitely relate to that. That's funny. Okay, let's go ahead and get your week ahead guidance. Oh, interesting. So I meant to say messages. So you might have been asking for a lot of guidance, particularly lately, for group number 3. Also, that minty color, for some reason, it's like I'm seeing that coat the inside of your stomach. So you might be concerned about digestive issues in the week coming up. So if you could imagine a mint-colored light, this is so specific. I love it when they do this, like this color, like a minty color light, entering in through the mouth, actually, filling that whole cavity and draining all the way down into the stomach and coating the whole stomach and the whole digestive tract, and then coming out through the root. That's an exercise that you can do for yourself to help soothe your system from inflammation. So also just be careful. You might be served something that you're sensitive to, and Spirit's like, don't feel obligated to make yourself sick just to make someone else happy. Lots of messages already for group number 3. I already have 3 cards, but I'm still shuffling, so one more needs to come out. Okay, so the last one that needed to come out, interesting enough, is the Hermit. So you may have felt torn between groups 1 and 2, or 1 and 3, because that also came out before. So first of all, we have the 4 of coins, or the 4 of pentacles. We have the 6 of coins, the 6 of wands, and as I already showed you, we have this Hermit card here. I'm feeling a lot of tribal energy from this group, so if that resonates for you, you might have Native American heritage, or you might have roots to a different type of tribe as well, perhaps from a different culture. It feels like hair is really important. Braiding hair specifically feels like it would be significant. And I'm hearing wise woman. So you might have had an ancestor who wore their hair in braids as some kind of symbol of wisdom or tradition. So just know that if that is resonating for you, there is a female ancestor here that is saying hello and that she loves you very much. You might have considered wearing your hair in that style for an event coming up. And she's saying that she would love that. That's so sweet. She's a very kind soul. So the number 6 might be significant for you here, since we have the 6 of coins and the 6 of wands. So let's talk about these for a second here. The 6 of coins is usually about balancing accounts, giving back, having enough wealth to share with other people. And the 6 of wands is all about victory. So, okay, So there's a message here about balancing accounts and giving back and doing that for the right reasons. It feels like you might be around an energy that feels kind of fakey. Maybe you're around a family member or a coworker, someone in your life who works with some kind of charity or charitable work or something like that, but they really want recognition for it, which can feel kind of gross. So Spirit's like, they're showing me you being kept separate from this person for that reason, because that creates some gross karma that you do not deserve to be roped into. So I'm seeing you as truly giving back for the right reasons, truly being generous just out of the goodness of your heart. And I feel like people recognize you for other reasons. So it's really interesting that someone around you is connecting these two ideas. So they might be like, let's participate in this charity event, but let's take pictures. You know what I mean? Like, let's make sure people see us doing this. And you're like, I don't really care. I just want to go and have a nice time and support my community. So good for you, group number 3, especially because I can see that saving money has been on your mind, maybe even to the point where you're afraid to spend. So just know that if you are concerned about that, Spirit is confirming here through this vulture that nothing is ever wasted. So if you've been concerned about wasting your money lately, you have not been wasting your money. If you were thinking about donating and if that would be a waste of money, it's definitely not. And I can feel that you have a really big, beautiful heart. Group number 3. You might even have an earth sign in your big 3. I'm definitely getting earth sign vibes. And then with the Hermit here, you might be the outlier that Spirit was talking about earlier. You might feel like kind of an outlier in your family. Okay, this could have to do with father energy. So there could be a disconnect with the father side of your family. There could even be shadow aspects of either connecting to something that the father did that maybe you inherited or that deeply, deeply affected you, or the relationship to the father. There's some kind of shadow aspect that's coming up to be healed. So let's get some advice about that, group number 3. What an interesting combination of messages. So you have like the charitable donations thing, then you have saving money, public recognition, and then the father that's coming up. You got a lot going on, group number 3. You must have a lot of people around you that care about you. That's what that says to me. Okay, you had a card fly out. Okay, we've got 2. Let's get one more. All right. I'm hearing that you always have, you have a tendency to have lower expectations, which feels safer, but they're saying like, so again, they're talking about this card and about giving from the right place. And they're saying you always have heart-centered energy, but it's almost like you might be overprotecting yourself, if that makes sense. So I was just telling someone this over the weekend at the festival, is like, okay, take a look at her. Yeah, she has money in there and she feels safe, but does she look like she's having a very good time? She's like, no, she's not having a great time in there. So it might be time to kind of open up a little bit, or just hold some loving awareness around overprotecting yourself. So I feel like that might be going on, especially if you are having to interact with that father figure or that fatherly energy that popped up earlier. So let's flip over your guidance cards. You have the Sun again. Oh my gosh. Group number 3 out here with another banger, pulling out the Sun. Amazing. The Hunter. Excellent. Okay. Your dad might have been a hunter. Group number 3. Or I believe it was your group. When I channel, sometimes I don't remember. The ancestor that came through with the braids, they might be connected to like huntress or hunter energy. And also you have seer. See beyond the current situation. So there's definitely the emphasis on the third eye here with the color of this cloak. They're pointing to that already. And with this, you have a lot of indigo. So maybe some energetic treatments around the third eye could be helpful for you. For me personally, and maybe you have some energetic similarities to me, peppermint always helps me with my third eye. I'm not even really sure why, or if that's like a typical recommendation, but peppermint. Let's see here for your guidance. So for Hunter, track down your fears and desires. Interesting that you have the Hunter and the Stag out at the same time. So it feels like it's not an invitation to literally hunt this animal, but to follow it and see where it goes. You know what I mean? To like observe patterns. Okay, great. So we talked about how the stag can symbolize fatherly energy. So if you are getting together with your father, and if they are in spirit like mine is, I'll give you another option that spirit's talking through. But for the first portion of you, let's say that you know that you're going to see your dad and you're kind of worried about how that might go. It's almost like spirit is like, let them kind of like run the conversation for a second, which might not be typical for you. I feel like you might try to do the talking for them, try to help them out with just talking generally, or just making sure they don't say something awful. I know that's not the greatest dynamic, but we're keeping it real here. Some people are out here dealing with this, right? And this is real life stuff. So they're saying, let him kind of drive the situation, or drive the conversation, and just kind of observe what he wants to talk about and believe him is what I'm hearing. So if he wants to talk about himself, believe him. Even though I feel like that might be hurtful for some reason, if he wants to talk about you, believe him and let him talk about you. Tell him about yourself as much as you feel comfortable. But it feels like they're saying where there once was conflict, now they would like to just observe the situation and provide healing awareness for the dynamic. So this feels like some kind of family patterning that's bringing up, and that spirit is asking you to help stop the pattern with the Hunter. So it's like, it feels like I'm seeing you ahead of time, like talking to yourself in a mirror, like, okay, if he says this, I'm not gonna feel bad. If I say this, I'm gonna fix it this way. It's almost like you're scared of what you might say or what you might hear with your dad. And Spirit's letting you know that you don't seem like the person who would just say something without thinking. So first of all, you're not like that anyway. And second of all, to turn over any anxieties you're having about this interaction with your father or father's side of the family, to turn that over to Spirit, because they would like to be present and they would like to help you with that. So they're asking you to see beyond the current situation. So there might be things that have happened really recently that could have contributed to feeling uncomfortable or weird with the situation, and Spirit's confirming that that is just like a temporary feeling, and to not let that stop you from having a nice time, from experiencing the holiday at all. You might be tempted to just not even go to the damn dinner because of this person. And Spirit's like, if you are personally in your heart feeling up to it, people love to see you. And I feel like you love to see people too. So they're asking you to please see beyond the current situation and consider showing up for you and your generational health, because it feels like you are stopping a cycle, not this other person. It feels like it's you. And you have the Sun. Now, typically this would just mean you're going to have a damn good time. You're going to be super happy, abundance, joy, yada, yada. This to me is your light. They're showing how radiant you are. Like you have this big, beautiful light inside of you, and anyone who's been around you would know it. And so they're asking you to show up and share it this holiday season, this week. Interesting. Okay, so with the coins, perhaps that's not even money. Perhaps that's you sharing your energy and being very generous with your time and with your loving attention. People really feel that from you. People really appreciate that from you. Also, make sure you're giving that loving attention back to yourself with the Hermit. Make sure that you make time for yourself to turn inward as well, okay? After this interaction with the Father. They're reminding me to talk about if you have a Father in spirit and you've chosen this group. So that would be me. You know, my Father is in spirit. If there is an aspect that is being brought up to be healed, what you can do is kind of similar to what we talked about before with spirit, is ask them to set up a meeting between you and their higher self so that your higher selves can talk. And I would take this opportunity to be really honest to this person's spirit. Be honest about what hurts. Be honest about how you miss them. Be honest about how you wish things could be different, and ask them if they are willing to cooperate with you to stop this cycle of negativity. And I feel like if you're anything like me, you'll find a lot of relief in that. I know that I have. Yeah, so that's a way to get around that if your Father is in spirit, but there is still some stuff left to heal. Okay? All right, group number 3, let's go ahead and get your final guidance here through the special book, the phrase, and the image. It kind of feels like it's back here. What does that say? Protect. Okay. Remember how we were talking about overprotection? So it feels like Spirit is inviting you to reconsider your idea of protection and what that looks like. Okay, so before, it might have been to the point you were protecting yourself to the extreme that you did not want to interact with this person or with anyone like them for that matter. Like, you were so protective of yourself, you're like, I'm just going to cut everybody off. And Spirit's like, let's rethink that. Let's revisit it, because you can overprotect yourself. You can deprive yourself from joyous moments of life. And you have so much joy and love to give and to share and experience with other people. So it's like, so they're saying, trade this, like protecting your entire body, for this. Like, just like, that's all you need. That's all you need. They're asking you to not overdo it, to not expend energy by protecting every move you make, rehearsing every word you're going to say, just in case you hurt someone's feelings. They're like, it's not that serious. You are already so loving and such a valuable presence to have around. So those were your messages, group number 3. That got pretty real. I feel like that might have been my group too, because my dad's in spirit and there's some stuff to be healed as well. There always is. But if you chose the last group with the pendulum here, with the, it keeps moving, with the calcite, those were your messages. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Okay, so let me check in with you. Lola says number 3 right on the dot, overprotective of myself. I've done that a million times, yep. And need to speak with my dad in spirit. Thanks for the guidance of how to do it. Absolutely. Yeah, and if you need any further guidance, just because I personally have experience with that, do let me know. Oh, and Lola, I think you know this about me, but also people who might be watching in post, I finally got a drum at the festival that I was at over the weekend, and I was a vendor at the festival. So if you met me there, thank you for crossing paths with me, and I loved working with you. But I have been wanting a drum for a really long time. And Whitney gave me a reading about a year ago, and she was like, they're showing your life purpose, and you're like on a video and you're playing a drum, so I think you need to get a drum. So I was like, okay, I have to find a drum then. But I didn't want to buy it online. I wanted to see it in person and feel it, you know, because that's just how I am. I'm a channeler, so I'm very tactile. And I was able to find this booth that I had gotten a feather fan from before that I use in clearings. It's turkey feathers, which are sacred. And they handmade this drum out of buffalo hide, and it's so beautiful, and it has like a raw heart connection that I really resonate with. So I'm not quite sure how exactly Spirit wants me to use it, but I think that I will do some drumming, maybe like journeying exercises if you guys would be interested in like shamanic journeying. One of my guides already said he would be down to help track and guide and protect you. If you wanted me to guide you through like meeting your spirit animal or something really cool like that. I feel like that must be it, since that's what they came up with. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'm wishing you so much love and light with the coming holiday this week, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye.